bad back in the first place. Got arthritis in my facet joints and bulging discs, and now herniated discs from the accident. So I've had ongoing treatment with that.
Okay.
I had gone for my second round of RFA injections.
The ablation? Or no, you were working, yeah?
I've got frequency ablation.
I don't have, my back and neck, I've got some issues myself. So
have you had the RFA?
And my wife is a nurse for a spinal doctor, so I'm familiar with your pain.
Yeah, okay.
So you've gone through that process. Are you doing it?
Yeah, I'm disappointed with the results so far, but they do say it can take up to 6 weeks.
The detectives were building a picture of where her head had been. Her sister had died that July while she was pregnant with Dominic. She was raising a newborn and a toddler at once. Pete worked long hours and gave his evenings to his band. She had been grieving and had not found a counselor. Late in the conversation, she named it herself: postpartum depression. Then she stopped. The detectives had more they wanted to reach.
So I understand about after 3 weeks, when Dominic was 3 weeks old, something happened with his leg. Can you describe what happened to us?
Sure. I had just fed Dominic. I was we have a rocker, recliner, lazy boy chair in our living room next to Lucas's little kid table. I was burping Dominic. I had him sitting up on this knee, and I had one hand patting his back and the other hand on his chest. I do remember giving him the breaths, and he was full of, I don't know, it was brown.
This is Lily Shipe. She believes this is the last conversation she will have before she goes home. Her account is simple. Her son's death was an accident, and there is nothing more to it than that.
I want to be frank with you, Lily. The only other alternative is that you don't want to tell us what happened.
What follows is one long effort to convince the two detectives across the table that nothing happened in the hours she spent alone with her son.
I don't have an explanation. I need an explanation as well.
Late on the night of November 8th, 2021, in Sarasota, Florida, Lily Shipe ran from her home carrying her son. Dominic was not breathing.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
My neighbor ran to my house. Her baby's not breathing.
Okay, is the baby with you?
Yes. Yes, we are performing CPR now.
She carried him next door for help. 911 was called. CPR was started. By the time paramedics arrived, Dominic was barely breathing. He was taken to Sarasota Memorial, then airlifted to Tampa General in critical condition. Doctors found severe head trauma and no brain activity. 2 days later, on November 10th, his family took him off life support. Days after that, detectives brought his mother in to ask what happened in the hours before that call.
Now what I'd ask is you to raise your right hand. Lily, do you swear or affirm that the statement that you're about to give me is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, great. You can put your hand down. Okay. Lily, can you tell us about Monday the 8th of November from the time you woke up all the way through the end of the night?
Sure. I woke up, I think it was around 6:30 with Dominic. Fed him his formula, which usually takes half an hour. Had a little time to snuggle him. I made my coffee and my toast. Lucas woke up around 7:30. So then I put Dominic in his pack and play. I always sit with Lucas on the couch for a few minutes. He has his milk. Then I read him a book. So now we're going on 8 o'clock. I just say good morning to Lucas, read him a book. Pete gets up around 8. So he was up. He goes to work at 9, so we had that hour of family time. And Lucas watches a little cartoon during that time. And we play with Dominic. We didn't notice anything out of the ordinary as far as Dominic's behavior in the morning. He was his normal, happy self. So Pete went to work about 8:45, his normal time. Lucas had some Cheerios. I took Dominic's, he's got a seat chair outside. I took both of them outside. No, I'm sorry. I put his seat outside. Dominic was in his swing. I have a sound monitor that I took outside with me. He was resting in his swing. He seemed content. So I had my monitor on. I went outside with Lucas. He went on the swing. Monday is our trash day. He likes to watch the recycling with the big arms take the can. Cute. So,
Everything she described was ordinary. Formula, coffee, toast, a book for the toddler on the couch, the morning of a mother of 2. What did not fit was the delivery. 2 days after her infant was taken off life support, Lily sat with the detectives and laughed, relaxed, at ease, like she was catching up with a friend.
a little before 9, I tried to give him his other bottle. He seemed very tired, but he hadn't. He had fallen asleep in the car, but he hadn't napped since he got up right before 5. So he had been up 4 hours. He seemed very tired. I tried to give him his bottle, and he just didn't want it. He seemed like he was falling out, like he was ready to sleep. I remember encouraging him to swallow it like this. He just didn't want it. I held him for a minute. I put him down in his bassinet in the room with the door open. I went back to Lucas, changed his diaper, put him in his pajamas, put on his relaxing fishes again. He seems to only rest if I sit with him. So I was sitting on the couch with him probably 20 minutes. It was just before 9:30. I went back in the room to see if Dominic had fallen asleep. Sometimes he will just lay there. There was a box on his bassinet that he likes to just kind of look at. But when I went back, he wasn't breathing. I picked him up out of the bassinet. I don't have much light in my room. Went into the kids' room directly across the hall, put him on his changing table, immediately noticed he's unresponsive. I could not find my cell phone in a hurry. I knew I would need an ambulance. I'm a nurse. I would have immediately called 911 on speakerphone and initiated CPR. I panicked, ran to my neighbor's house, right next to my house. Her husband drives an ambulance for pediatrics. She said, go to my mother-in-law's house, directly across the street. We laid Dominic down in the garage, initiated CPR. I do remember giving him the breaths, and he was full of, I don't know, it was brown. I believe that it's a matter of shock and trauma that I can't recollect him being taken by the ambulance, but I know that that is what happened up until that point.
Around 5, her husband Pete came home from work. They had dinner together. Around 7, he left for band practice. From that point on, Lily was the only adult in the house and the only person who could say what happened to Dominic. In the interview, she gives the account of a mother as lost for answers as everyone else.
Can you describe Dominic's typical eating routine? What did you typically feed him? How much? How often? That kind of thing.
I fed him the Infamil Gentlease formula. We had recently switched to the Target brand of it, the Up and Up Gentlease. He seemed to be tolerating that all right. I fed him 5 or 6 ounces, depending on how long. He would go between 3 and 5 hours.
Okay. So that window of 3 to 5 hours is typically when he would
4
be fed.
hours was his usual, but like I said, he was growing and would want a little extra in between at times.
But he was eating his normal amount, it sounds like, from your description that day until that evening was the first time he didn't eat.
Right, yeah.
But during the day, he ate his normal amount.
He did.
Okay. What about his bowel movements? You mentioned a couple diaper changes in there. How were those bowel movements? How would you describe them?
Is it normal, or was there anything abnormal?
Did he go that day?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did go that morning and afternoon. Yeah. The evening, I don't remember him having a BM.
So normal.
Yeah. 2 a day for a formula.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Normal poop. Nothing.
And pee,
2 or 3 a day. Normal.
Urination was fine.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sometimes he would get constipated and gassy, but he was.
It sounds like he had a good day. He wasn't fussy.
He did. He had a good day. He was super smiley.
When Pete came home, especially, you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about, I'm sorry, do you have something?
No, because there was a stain that she noticed on the bassinet when she got home. No.
A stain?
There was.
Tell me about that.
When I came back from Tampa General, I noticed on his bassinet sheet where his head was a brown stain, similar to.
Similar to what you described earlier, the purge or whatever that you said you saw earlier from him?
And it made me wonder, did he vomit when he was laying down?
She describes a brown stain on Dominic's bassinet sheet, right where his head would have rested. A vomit stain. A small, specific detail. It is also wrong. The stain was on the master bed, the bed where she slept. A small thing to misplace.
When I got off of work, I stopped and got us some ribs at All Days. When I got home, I had my hands full with my work bag and the ribs, and there was a wandering dog. He was in front of our fence. I should have called Pete. Again, my hands were full, and I went to the door and knocked on it. I wanted him to, and I said, don't open the door all the way because this dog was not far from me. He was in front of the fence.
Did you recognize the dog?
I recognize the markings on the dog.
Okay.
Our next door neighbor, they have a different breed of dog with almost the same markings, and his name is Moose. And I wanted Pete to look out and tell me if it was Moose, but this when Pete cracked the door open, our dog, she's a mix of American Bulldog Pit Bull, and she stuck her nose out. This dog came from where he was in front of our fence and barreled into our house.
It's scary.
Very scary. Yeah, he was shorter but stalky and strong. I mean, I couldn't stop him. He just forced his way in and started immediately trying to bite our pit bull. She's not a fighter. And Lucas was up on the couch, and I was protecting him. Pete was holding Dominic when he opened the door.
Okay.
Pete did mention that the dog, I don't want to say came at him, but jumped while he was holding Dominic before he managed to put Dominic in the pack and play.
Okay. Did you observe that?
I didn't.
Okay.
No, I had my back turned.
Okay.
I think he sort of described it, and remember, he sort of turned away with him,
like
and
fell back into
protected.
the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic, he said, Dominic didn't hit anything, or the dog didn't hit him. He was able to protect him, but yeah, he described it had been pretty traumatic, isn't it?
Yeah, it did happen so fast.
It'd be scary.
No doubt.
Because I've had that. I've been questioning that, and I've asked Pete a few times, is there any way that that dog could have made contact with Dominic's head or his body? And Pete told me it happened so fast. When we talked about it, he couldn't be sure, but after he got Dominic down in the pack and play, he got our dog Maple outside. This other dog, I had the door open saying, "Get out, get out." When I looked back, there was a tall Hispanic guy, and our neighbors behind us, we shared the back of our fence with them. I believe that was
their dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This guy didn't speak any English. He didn't answer me. He just started calling for the dog, and he came into our house, picked up,
Okay. Yep. Oh my gosh.
Is this your dog? And he came in, picked up the dog, walked out of the house, and I am just
dumbfounded.
I'm at the front door saying, "Do you need a leash? Excuse me." And
that is crazy.
That is not
you
okay.
would think he knew any English, but he didn't say anything. He was walking the dog.
Did you check Dominic and Lucas after this encounter with this dog? Did you check them? Okay, what did you observe about them?
Nothing.
Then comes the dog, a stray that forced its way into the house days earlier and lunged while Pete was holding the baby. She does not offer it as the cause. She offers it alongside every other possibility she can reach for. The trouble with giving many explanations is that each one weakens the last, and she does not yet know that Pete has already told the detective something of his own.
So I understand that you've had a rough year, that 2021 has been a pretty terrible year.
It has been.
Your husband told us that your sister died
she did, July 13th.
Back in July. Yeah. How have you been coping with that? How have you been handling that?
One day at a time, just talking with friends and family.
Okay.
I mean, just so wrapped up in, I was pregnant when she passed, and had Dominic August 4th. I didn't seek. Well, I was actively seeking, but I didn't have counseling.
You were in the process of searching for a counselor but didn't quite get one.
Right.
Okay.
I was definitely grieving. I would use their nap time to let some of that out.
When you say let it out, meaning crying it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm really sorry that happened. I can't imagine. I've got 2 sisters. If I lost one of them, I don't know how I would react at all. So that's a really devastating loss. And then Pete also told us that you were in a car accident like 2 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, I have a bad back in the first place. I've got arthritis in my facet joints and bulging discs and now herniated discs from the accident. So I've had ongoing treatment with that.
Okay.
I had gone for my second round of RFA injections.
The ablation? Or no, you were working, yeah? I've got
frequency ablation.
I don't have, my back and neck, I've got some issues myself. So
Have you had the RFA?
And my wife is a nurse for a spinal doctor, so I'm familiar with your pain.
Yeah, okay.
So you've gone through that process. Are you doing it?
Yeah, I'm disappointed with the results so far, but they do say it can take up to 6 weeks.
The detectives were building a picture of where her head had been. Her sister had died that July while she was pregnant with Dominic. She was raising a newborn and a toddler at once. Pete worked long hours and gave his evenings to his band. She had been grieving and had not found a counselor. Late in the conversation, she named it herself: postpartum depression. Then she stopped. The detectives had more they wanted to reach.
So I understand about after 3 weeks, when Dominic was 3 weeks old, something happened with his leg. Can you describe what happened to us?
Sure. I had just fed Dominic. I was we have a rocker, recliner, lazy boy chair in our living room next to Lucas's little kid table. I was burping Dominic. I had him sitting up on this knee, and I had one hand patting his back and the other hand on his chest. On this side of the chair is the lever to recline it. Lucas liked to mess around. He would stand up on it and kind of jump on it.
He was a boy.
Bit. Yeah.
Big brother.
Yeah, when this happened, he was standing on the lever, and he put his foot back to try to balance on the chair of the kids' table, and that started to lean back. He lost his balance, and he reached out and grabbed this hand that I had on Dominic's chest. And I couldn't get it back from him in time to stop Dominic from falling. Dominic fell, and his right leg was tucked behind him. I didn't initially think that he was seriously injured at all. But I took him to the changing table, and it was clear that one leg he was moving and the other leg was, I don't want to say floppy, but he wasn't able to move it, and when I touched it, he was crying. He was in pain. So right away I put him in the car seat. I knew Pete would be home. I had texted him, "Are you on your way home?" He said, "Yeah." And when I wasn't touching the leg, Dominic wasn't crying. Pete even came home and said, "Are you sure you need to take him to urgent care?" But I had called Sarasota Memorial Urgent Care on University, I said, yeah, I touched his leg, and he cried. He said, okay, well, and I thought it was maybe a sprain. I'd be back home, in an hour, but they said they would see him. When I got there, they said they can't because he was under 3 months old. They referred me to a different urgent care in Lakewood Ranch. I went there. They hadn't opened yet. It said coming soon. I had passed a doctor's hospital, ER, off of Lakewood Ranch. So I called them. I went there, and we were there for some hours. They did x-rays, told me that he had a fracture. And I rode with them in the ambulance to All Children's Hospital.
Okay.
We stayed for a few days.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
They didn't have to put in a cast or anything?
At Doctor's Hospital ER, they did.
Like a temporary or?
Yeah, they did, and they had me hold it for, I don't know, a few
just keep it
minutes while it
stationary.
hardened. Yeah, it was just a hard cast, which they took off at All Children's.
Just before we get far away from it, you described up to it what had happened. What happened? I mean, he's here, and you got pulled off, so Dominic would have fallen, I'm assuming, like between your legs on the floor? Or?
Did he fall down onto the floor? Did he fall into the chair and then the floor, or just straight down?
He did. He did a back tumble, and his head was on my foot. I remember that. And I had tried to stop him from falling, but he had Chanel's socks on, and I ended up just being able to grab the sock.
Just pulled the sock
so you grabbed and grabbed the sock. All you got was sock, basically, so not his leg.
Right.
All right, because that's what I'm trying to get the mental picture.
I couldn't even.
So you had to pick him. Then you had to pick him up.
I picked him up immediately and took him to the changing table.
So the fracture, whatever, they're assuming happened because of his leg being like maybe tucked behind him in the fall part, not a pulling or
the way that he landed.
Got you. Okay.
One injury already sat on the record. When Dominic was 3 weeks old, his leg was fractured. By her account, he slipped from her knee while she burped him, and all she caught was his sock. He was casted and sent home. Like the night in November, it had happened while she was the only adult with him. Her lawyer seemed to be the one who heard how that sounded and stepped in with a cleaner version of events.
One thing that I think is noteworthy is that CPR was done on the garage floor, on the concrete garage floor.
Okay.
I think that's noteworthy. If he aspirated and then was put on the garage floor for CPR, that could have caused the injury.
Is that what you recall? Is the floor, the garage floor?
I remember taking him through their garage. I think it was the garage floor.
And I'll just say this, I'm under the understanding that it was in the master bedroom that CPR was performed.
Okay, I wasn't there.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what I'm under the impression, you were in the garage at one point, however, it was moved to, and I'm under the impression CPR was not performed until the got into the bedroom.
Okay. And I don't recall.
And that's totally okay.
Carpeted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the
That's for us to figure out for sure.
Okay.
Even if CPR on a concrete garage floor could explain the head trauma, and the medical evidence would say it could not, it does not explain why a healthy infant needed CPR at all. The first interview ended there, unresolved. Weeks later, new medical reports came back. The detectives brought Lily in again. This time she would not be the one setting the terms.
So, Lily, we've got some unexplained injuries to Dominic's head. And I know that originally, when you guys were in the hospital, they had told you Dominic had some head trauma. So you were kind of aware of that already.
Yes.
So we were able to look a little bit deeper into that, and I'd like to give you the opportunity to explain how Dominic got those injuries. And this is that opportunity for you to do that.
Okay. I don't have an explanation.
Okay.
What kind of injuries did you guys see? Like, I know that in the hospital they were notified about a skeletal or a skull fracture.
Yes.
Not numerous injuries.
There are numerous injuries to the back of his head.
Oh my goodness. We were just aware of the one.
In the whole care and custody, you know, I mean, we've established, at least with speaking everyone, that, you know, you were the last one with Dominic. You know what I mean? That's, we all understand that.
Right.
In the limited time, you know, that Peter was there was no accidental drops or any, you know, inflicted damage, what have you. He left, as you even described it, the smiley, you know, happy face. He was fine.
Peter left and he was smiley, happy. You described that. You know, everything seemed okay. And then there's kind of that interim from when after Peter left to when you went to your neighbor's house. That's that time period that needs a little bit more explanation. And I'd really like to give you that opportunity now to, if there's anything that you can think of that you'd like to talk about, now would be the time to do so.
I understand that, but there was nothing out of the ordinary during that time.
Okay. And I want to be frank with you, Lily. I can understand all of the stress that you were going through. I can't even imagine for 2 seconds being in your shoes with the amount of stress. We talked to Peter's parents. We talked to your mom. Haven't been able to talk to your dad yet, but even Peter's parents straight up said that Peter is not as involved as they want him to be. So you're taking care of everything. You're taking care of 2 kids, 1 brand new baby, the loss of your sister, trying to incorporate work and being a full-time mom. I can't imagine. And I want to express to you that I empathize with you, and I know my partner does, and everyone can empathize with you for everything that you were going through.
Thank you.
However, there are these unexplained injuries, and they need an explanation. Otherwise, the answers that we get will be strictly based on the evidence that we see. So we're going to draw those conclusions. And without an explanation, that's what we have.
I need an explanation as well.
I mean, there are injuries, and there's like a 2-hour gap of time, right?
Or 3.
Yeah, 2 to 4, we'll say.
Gap of time when?
Between when Peter left and when the paramedics were called.
7:30 to 9:30.
It was about 3 hours.
Okay.
Other than that, there's no other evidence, right? I'm sorry. I mean, that's it.
That's what we're saying. She's the only one that can answer.
She's the only one that can answer
though.
too.
I mean, what if she can't? What if she can't? And
these injuries were inflicted.
The injuries were inflicted, and they were inflicted within that time period.
Yeah, see, we don't know that, and you guys know we have been here. I have been readily cooperative.
Oh,
with you.
absolutely, no question. That's why
we want these same answers. We don't have these answers, and if we did, Peter and Lily would have provided them. Their stories have been consistent all the while, and I mean, the one thing is that Lily said, I put him in pajamas, and I didn't. I actually swaddled him. And so we want to clarify that today. That's the only discrepancy that I've been aware of, being frank with you guys as counsel, you know, even privileged and confidential information. So, I mean, I know your position. I know my position. There is a gap here that I'm not sure can be filled, because Lily does not have this information. She has no pattern, obviously, of inflicting injuries upon a child. There was no accident that occurred. that she is aware of, except for, the dog maybe, or the leg break, if this happened historically.
When the questions turn to the injuries, Lily goes quiet and lets her lawyer speak. The lawyer's position is that there are no answers because there was no accident, but the detectives were no longer asking whether something had happened. The medical evidence had settled that. They were asking why.
So the injuries that happened they happened that night. They happened within the time period that Dominic was in Lily's care. We've established that. We know that. For
Medically,
fact.
that's what the doctors
For fact.
determined.
And we're waiting on another injury that did happen prior at some point.
So beyond the femur fracture, we have additional injuries to the child that were unexplained from the time period of the fracture to the night of November 8th.
And we'll have a more definitive, we're not trying to intentionally be overly vague with you. It's a matter, we'll have a more definitive answer, we've been told, this month. So by the end of the month, in another 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
And that's the best we can tell you. So we don't want to speculate or what have you. But what we know is you're the only one that can possibly give an explanation. Whether you're able to or not, you would be the only one that could, give us an explanation.
Yeah, if there was one to be found, yeah.
The only other alternative is that you don't want to tell us what happened. And I can understand if something happened that you don't want to talk about. But we are here, and your son is dead. And there is a reason for it.
You're saying he had other head injuries that were older than that time frame?
To potentially show some kind of history, something.
Like I said before, when going over the CPR, I do believe it's a matter of so much shock and trauma that I had trouble remembering going to Sarasota Memorial with him. But I've racked my brain over and over, and I only recall what I've told you, that he was sleepy. I tried to feed him. I did swaddle him, but I can't recall anything that would have.
It would have been in the hours leading up to putting him down. We know that.
Okay.
So that's why we're looking at you for the answers, because we know that that's the gap that we're dealing with.
I'm just finding this hard to believe it.
Every answer now comes after a pause. She is weighing each word for what it could mean later. The detectives had told her she was the only person who could explain what happened. The pauses did not contradict them.
I did initially think that I had some sort of a blackout because I couldn't remember going to Sarasota Memorial with him, but I came to realize that it was shock and trauma.
That was after the fact.
That amount of alcohol, a few glasses of wine, has never caused me to have a blackout.
Understood. Yeah. It's more the period of time after Peter left for band practice.
I understand.
That's kind of the time in question.
I understand that.
Because we've determined, been talking with you and talking with Peter, nothing happened in that short period of time that he was home for dinner and before he left to explain any injuries. So, that's... And there's a potential that could have maybe been inflicted just prior to him getting home, but it's definitely in that window. You know what I'm saying?
His behavior, though, that Peter noticed when he was home, I think would have ruled out it happening prior, unless it was substantially prior, unless these were historical injuries or disorder or,
Yeah, and this wasn't the case. Like Sarah's explained to you, we can rule out, because I know you had certain concerns of maybe what could have caused his death, and
I think at one point you had said, CPR perhaps on the garage floor. CPR was not on the garage floor. CPR was conducted when we talked to all the EMTs, the neighbors, everybody. It was conducted in a proper way. No, the was not dropped in any way that could have caused these injuries. This happened while the was in your care.
And we didn't
aspirate.
Yeah, no aspiration. That wasn't
suffocation.
Yeah.
That was not the reason why he died.
Those things have been ruled out.
That's not the reason why he died. That was probably an after effect. But I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I can't say that. But I can say that was not the cause of the death.
By now, Lily and her lawyer understand that the detectives know more than they had let on. The sympathy across the table, the talk of grief and exhaustion, had been real and had also been strategy. With that clear, there was little left for Lily to offer.
So it was determined that he didn't have fluid in his lungs, in other words.
Correct.
It's the unexplained injuries to his head.
And like I said, I can very much empathize with you with everything that you're going through, maybe you lost it for a second.
But you're saying medically there's no other explanation, and
what we're being told right now, and we're waiting on that definitive answer, but the direction we're being led right now and things explained to us, correct.
It would just come to that conclusion.
Well, all we have is evidence. All we have is what's presented to us, medical evidence. So we see that evidence and then we draw our conclusion based off of evidence. Now, if we have evidence and an explanation, it obviously helps create what that final conclusion is going to be. But otherwise, if we don't have an explanation from you and you're the only person that can provide that explanation to us, we have to go on the evidence that we see.
In the conclusion made by the medical examiner, that's what we'll be waiting. That's what they'll be giving that. Based on the evidence, they will conclude the cause or manner.
I don't think for one second that you're a bad person or that you meant for this to happen. You love your son. You love both of your sons very, very much. I know that.
Very much.
There's no doubt in my mind your love for your children. And there's no doubt in my mind that Dominic's death is a tragedy. But Dominic died because something happened to him. Okay, Lily?
I don't believe it. I mean, I know you're saying.
And like you said, that's why we want to give you that opportunity, and like Courtney knows as well. Otherwise, the jury of public opinion, everyone else, when this is all out there as far as what happened, everyone's going to jump to their own conclusions, especially without any explanation. That's just human nature, and that's what they're going to do.
Well, I do wish I could help provide an explanation.
This is unreal. I mean, like I've said, we have been so cooperative that if there was a period to put on this sentence, it would have been done well before today, well before we were confronted with any kind of evidence, because we're not trying to hide anything. We all are aware of a story that happened that has maintained consistency from day one. And I have given her the opportunity. I'm not telling her not to answer any questions. I want her to provide the answers to your questions.
I believe you don't know either.
But we don't have them, and I don't believe that Lily knows. I don't believe that she knows and doesn't want to tell you. I believe that she does not know.
Her lawyer is doing the job well, stepping in, controlling the flow, limiting the damage. And then, for the first time, Lily cries. This is the first time in either interview that anyone has seen her cry. The tears do not come when Dominic's name is raised. They come now, as the room closes in.
I believe, and no disrespect, I believe you do know. I believe there could be some level of blocking it out because it was definitely a tragedy, a traumatic incident. But I know that you know. It's a matter of where it is and recalling and maybe coming to terms with it yourself. Something happened. We know that. So I know you know just because of the fact you're the only one that does. That we have determined based on everything we've done so far.
Well, we can't determine what she is aware of and what she's not aware of.
No. I'm just saying that we've determined that she was the only one with the baby whenever this incident happened. We don't know what's in your mind.
And I think any mother can empathize with the situation that you were in. Not to say I'm not a mom, but I've got a coworker who sits right across from me that's got a young child, and she's got a second one on the way, and she's like, I can empathize with just losing your just straight up losing it. And then to top it off, your sister died. You're drinking.
A husband and not judging him, he's working full time and he's
trying to provide,
not as attentive, even based on his own family, as he maybe could or should be. He's learning the father role. But that
and your 2-year-old that has maybe got some developmental delays. He's not quite up to par with maybe some other 2-year-olds. And then a brand new to add to the equation.
During a time that you haven't even dealt with the loss of your sister. You weren't even really able to fully enjoy the birth of your new baby because you're in depression and grief over losing your sister.
Even your mom, she straight up was like, I think Lily was suffering from postpartum. And even you said that, I think I may have been. And I think that's a reasonable conclusion based off of everything. But if it was a matter of just losing it for 1 second, then that's what happened. But that's something that we don't know unless you tell us. We have to draw that conclusion based off of the evidence that's provided, the medical evidence that's provided.
If it is, a definite fact that something would have had to have happened in that time, and I can't bring myself to think of it. I mean, is that something I'd have an opportunity to get help with? Like, if...
Well, that's looking way down the road, I think. But yeah, obviously, a big key to this will be getting you help.
If there's something that I'm
repressing, perhaps.
The detectives change tack. They drop the pressure, take the judgment out of it, and hand her a version she could live with. A single moment where an exhausted, grieving mother lost control. It is a standard way to open a door. Lily does not walk through it. She goes quiet. Silence commits her to nothing. The medical findings and the evidence were enough. In March of 2022, Lily Shipe was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. She was held on a bond of $350,000. Prosecutors built the case on the prior injuries and the shifting explanations. In August of 2025, after a long trial, a jury found her guilty of the lesser charge, manslaughter, reckless conduct, not a proven intent to kill. By the time of sentencing, she had spent nearly 4 years in custody waiting for trial. On December 29, 2025, she was sentenced to just over 10 years, with credit for time served. A 3-week-old cannot break his own leg. That fracture was treated as an accident, and the baby went home with the same adult who had been alone with him. Nobody looked at it twice until there was a second injury. The second one was fatal.